I would if I believe that that is the right thing to do for our country and for the Palin family. Certainly, I would do so. I think that it would be absurd to not consider what it is that I can potentially do to help our country. I won't close a door that perhaps could be open for me in the future.
Wow, welcome back to Harvard. That was Sarah Palin telling Fox News' Chris Wallace how she might decide to run for president. If she really does decide to run, will she come off the same as she did in 2008 when she ran for Veep? Or will she do something different to make more people think that she's qualified for national office? The Washington Post political reporter Ann Kornbluth joins us. She's the author of Notes from the Cracked Ceiling, and also Time Magazine's Mark Halpern, who's the co-author of the bestseller, #1, 3 weeks in a row, Game Change. Mark, we've got a new poll out that shows that basically, it's not new, it's been around for a while, that only 28% of the people think that Sarah Palin is qualified. 70% think she's not. What would be the assessment you would come up with after all your reporting for Game Change?
That unless she makes some radical changes and has stuff inside of her that we have not seen, that number who thinks she's unqualified is going to go up, and should.
And Kornbluth, the latest performance was this weekend, talking about whether Barack Obama should declare war on Iran and get himself reelected automatically. Some wild statements, I thought.
Look, Mark is exactly right. She had a gravitas, a credibility problem in 2008, and if she's going to run a serious campaign by herself, a campaign that would be much longer than the one she saw in 2008, she's going to have more to talk about. She has mastered the art of the soundbite, as my colleague Chris Filizzo wrote today in The Fix, and she's very good at it, and she gives us a lot to talk about and a lot to replay. But when she finally submits to some real questioning, some follow-up questions about what she's talking about, she hasn't rolled out any kind of a platform to be the underpinnings of an agenda that you could actually run for president on.
Here's a quote from Game Change. In the days since the pick, Schmidt, he was the campaign manager for John McCain, had spent enough time with Governor Palin to get a sense of how much instruction she would need to get ready for the debates. Quote, "You guys have a lot of work to do," he warned Randy Schuneman. "She doesn't know anything." Apparently, according to your reporting, you're laughing, Mark, but it's not funny. Your reporting said that this guy, Randy Schuneman, who's her neocon advisor on foreign policy now, had to go all the way back through the 20th century and teach her basically the 20th century in broad strokes, what almost anybody who went to a pretty good public school knows about, which is what happened in the 20th century. First World War, Second World War, Korea. She had no idea what the Korean War was. She didn't know anything.
Look, Chris, the initial pick of Palin, you got to put the responsibility on John McCain and his advisors, who picked somebody who they felt did not know anything and who did not know basic things that you would like the Vice President of the United States to know. My view is now the responsibility is on her, for her to show up at this event without any specifics, without any plan, to travel around the country giving a version of the same speech over and over again. If she has any aspiration, forget running for president, just to be a credible figure in American life, to continue along the path she's on, I think is just phenomenal. And you are one of the few people on the public square who are calling her on it. Most people just seem to be satisfied listening to her sound bites.
You know, one of the tricks of public life is taking questions from people. It's the hard part, because you never know what the question's going to be, and it's in public with a camera on you. She had pre-screened questions. And even though she had it right in the palm of her hand to fake that she knew the answer. I mean, I don't mind somebody having crib notes, but why did you need crib notes for questions? She already knew the questions. She already knew the answers, really.
Look, I don't know, but all of us have taken notes into interviews. We've come on your show.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with notes. You put them right in front of you. See these notes?
Right.
I'm not hiding them. But when you start writing them in your hand, it means you're hiding the fact that she said, here's my basic beliefs. Energy, tax cuts, lift America's spirits. Well, why do you have to, if they're your basic beliefs, they should be in here, not in the palm of your hand.
Look, and who knows if this is some kind of performance trick of hers from back in the day.
Oh, you think she's going to spin this positively?
Who knows what it is? I think the bigger problem for her isn't that the notes are written on her hand, but that the questions haven't actually been challenging so far, and that none of them have been in a freewheeling setting. Now, maybe the onus isn't on McCain or on her, but it's on voters to decide whether they actually want this, and we'll see in the polls that are upcoming whether that's actually the case.
Well, Chris Wallace asked her how hard President Obama would be to defeat in 2012, and here's what the governor said. Let's listen.
Say he played the war card. Say he decided to declare war on Iran, or decided to really come out and do whatever he could to support Israel, which I would like him to do. But that changes the dynamics in what we can assume is going to happen between now and 3 years. Because I think if the election were today, I do not think Obama would be reelected.
You're not suggesting that he would cynically play the war card.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying if he did, things would dramatically change if he decided to toughen up and do all that he can to secure our nation and our allies.
She's frightening. Mark, that is frightening stuff. Frightening. First of all, presidents do not declare war. Anybody knows that in high school. Congress has to declare war. To declare war on Iran, I don't think the most far-right Middle East hawk would talk about declaring war on Iran, a country of 70-some million people with an advanced air force. A war like that between the United States and Iran would be so costly, an actual all-out war. Why does she talk like that? Is that coming from? Is she getting? Where does people get talk? Is she? I was kidding last night. Is Michael Ledeen a real hawk writing this stuff for her? I don't know anybody as far right as that besides him.
She is out there freelancing and flailing and relying on what's gotten her this far. I don't think you can overstate the extent to which she is the dominant figure in the Republican Party today for 2010 and 2012. I also don't think you can overstate the extent to which answers like that, she's lucky they're not worse, because she's obviously flailing. She's spending time traveling, making money, giving speeches, going on Fox. She's not spending time doing what she should do. Again, I'd say, even if she's not running for president, be a serious person. Learn what you need to learn. She said in the interview with Chris Wallace, she knows more now than she did when she was governor of Alaska. Answers like that do not manifest that that is true.
Great example. Greta Van Susteren was interviewing a couple weeks ago on Fox. And Greta's a serious person. She's asking serious questions as if, and her husband's, and they're very friendly to that, to the Governor Palin. Ask her a serious question. What's the idea she might be able to give serious answers? Nothing comes out. Nothing. She says nothing spontaneously when you ask her a serious question.
Look, what's more interesting about that may be the case. I didn't actually see that interview.
It was stunning. If I were Roger Ailes watching the head of Fox, I'd say, this is a mistake on my part to pay her any money except for show business purposes. She has nothing going on mentally.
And yet, Chris, what's happened is she, as Mark said accurately, she is the leading figure in the Republic. If she were to run tomorrow, who would challenge her for this kind of attention?
These guys are so boring. But isn't there any, just a minute, Mark, you're a reporter and you're a reporter. Is there anybody in the Republican Party could debate her right now and outshine her?
I think that Mitt Romney certainly...
He could outshine her.
I think it's possible. I think it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, Mark, your thought. Who could outshine her right now? Because she's got nothing going on right now mentally.
Haley Barbour and John Kasich both could, but neither of them has shown any... No one in the party has shown the courage to take her on and say, Governor Palin, we like how you excite the base, but tell us one specific thing you're for, even within the area of energy, her supposed area of expertise. Just tell us one thing you're for specifically that would make America better.
I wouldn't be afraid of either of those guys who were president. I might not vote for them, but I wouldn't be afraid of them. I'd be afraid of her because I think she's an empty vessel ready to be filled by ideology she doesn't even understand. And that is really scary. We saw that with Dan Quayle. We saw it with W. Nothing is more frightening than an empty vessel in power. Anyway, thank you, Ann Kornblut and Mark Howard.